Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take your chosen sources and plunge right into them, surfacing, well, the most important nuggets of knowledge and sometimes really surprising facts.
hmm
Today, we're embarking on what feels like a truly epic voyage, a deep dive into excerpts from Herman Melville's monumental work, Moby Dick, or The Whale.
Big one.
Huge. We've got a fascinating collection of chapters here and some really captivating quotations. They cover everything from, the very personal motivations of a sailor to the intricate and often pretty brutal mechanics of whaling. And then there are these profound philosophical questions stirred up by the vast ocean itself.
Absolutely. It goes deep.
So our mission today is to navigate these rich, sometimes frankly terrifying waters. We want to extract the compelling stories of these unforgettable characters, really grasp the nuances of their perilous quest, and try to understand why this tale still captivates and challenges us so much.
Yeah, it really does stick with you.
So as we prepare to weigh anchor on this literary leviathan, what first catches your eye? What stands out?
Well, I think what's immediately fascinating is how Melville just plunges us in. It's not just setting up an adventure story, Right from page one, it's about the profound philosophical underpinnings of the whole voyage.
Ah, okay.
It's really not simply about chasing a whale. It becomes this exploration of the human condition, our deepest fears, our obsessions. It's all there from the start.
That sets such a powerful tone, doesn't it? Let's start right there then with the call to the sea, Ishmael's journey and the world of whaling. Our narrator, Ishmael, he doesn't just decide to go to sea for the fun of it or, for a paycheck.
No, not at all.
He tells us it's a way I have of driving off the spleen and regulating the circulation. Now, for us listening today, those terms might sound a bit, archaic.
Right, spleen and hypos.
Exactly, but they hint at something much deeper, don't they?
Absolutely, spleen, his hypos. That was
yeah.
the 19th century language for, deep melancholy, bouts of depression, what we might even call existential dread today.
Okay, so serious stuff.
Very serious. Ishmael isn't just bored or looking for a change of scenery. He's actively trying to ward off something truly dark inside himself. He describes it so vividly, a damp, drizzly November in my soul.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a state so suffocating that he finds himself, almost against his will, pausing before coffin warehouses and bringing up the rear of every funeral he meets.
That's grim.
It is. And for him, the sea is quite literally a substitute for pistol and ball. It's a desperate measure, almost therapeutic, you could say, to escape these self-destructive thoughts.
So the ocean is his therapy, in a way.
Exactly. It highlights this profound, almost spiritual connection between humanity and the water. He even says meditation and water are wedded forever. He's basically sailing for his sanity, maybe even his life, not just for whales.
So it's not just an external journey across the globe, it's deeply internal, a psychological escape route.
Precisely.
And this really intense personal motivation connects us immediately to the setting, because once Ishmael commits to the sea, he takes us to Nantucket, the heart of the whaling world. And it's not just any old port town, is it?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
It's presented as the quintessential whaling hub, a truly unique place, entirely shaped and defined by this one industry.
Melville calls it a queer place, doesn't he? A land of oil, true enough, but not like Canaan, a land also of corn and wine.
That's such a striking contrast.
It really is. It's a paradox. He paints this picture of a harsh, almost barren island, scraggy scoria of a country, he calls it. Yet in the same breath, he tells us it boasts patrician-like houses and gardens more opulent than anywhere else in America at the time.
So it makes you wonder, how did all this wealth, this grandeur, spring from such a seemingly tough, isolated spot?
And the text gives a pretty direct answer. It flat out asserts that, had it not been for us whalemen, that tract of land would this day perhaps have been in as howling condition as the coast of Labrador.
So it's the whalers themselves who transformed it completely. It's not just a description of a place. It's this powerful statement about the transformative, almost alchemical power of the whaling industry on this community.
Yeah.
It really sets Nantucket up as the foundation, the crucible, for everything that follows a place built on sheer enterprise and incredible daring.
Yeah, all that effort, that transformation you mentioned, it leads to something really unexpected, especially for us, maybe looking back with modern eyes and thinking of whaling as just, brutal. Melville's narrator champions what he calls the dignity of whaling. He actively pushes back hard against the idea that it lacks any liberal or poetical merit. He asks, pretty pointedly, no dignity in whaling. The dignity of our calling the very heavens attest.
Right. Which is startling. You read that, you think, dignity in this bloody business.
Exactly. He literally points to the sky to the constellation Cetus, the whale, as celestial proof of its importance. He even goes so far as to claim that a whaling captain who has taken, say, 350 whales is actually more honorable than that great captain of antiquity who boasted of taking as many walled towns. That just completely flips your expectations.
It really does. It forces you to confront maybe your own biases about it. But the most astonishing claim, the one that really drives home this idea of dignity, is about the oil itself.
Ah, the sperm oil.
Yes. The source claims that sperm oil in its unmanufactured, unpolluted state is literally the coronation stuff. The very oil used to anoint kings and queens.
No way.
That's what he says. Imagine that. The oil lighting the palaces, anointing royalty, maybe even fueling the lamps of the Enlightenment thinkers. It comes directly from this incredibly perilous, often gruesome industry out on the ocean.
Wow.
Melville forces us, the readers, to peel back our modern perceptions and reconsider whaling's actual historical weight, its symbolic importance. He elevates the whaleman from someone in a disreputable pursuit to a provider of the very essence of power and civilization in a way.
It's like finding this hidden crown jewel, like you said, amidst all the muck and blubber.
Exactly. It's a perspective shift.
Okay, so the stage is set. We have Ishmael's personal quest, the surprisingly dignified view of the industry. Now we move into 2. First encounters. Ishmael, Queequeg, and the Pequod's crew. And this section is just pivotal, isn't it? Especially that unlikely profound bond that forms between Ishmael and Queequeg.
Oh, it's crucial. Their immediate, almost accidental intimacy, forced together in a cramped-in bed, it blossoms so quickly into genuine respect and deep friendship.
And Ishmael's initial fear is key, right? He's genuinely terrified about sharing a bed with a harpooner, and not just any harpooner, but one he believes to be a cannibal.
Yeah, someone completely outside his experience. He's expecting, a monster.
But that fear just dissolves, doesn't it? As he watches Queequeg, he sees this quiet, respectful nature. He finds an innate sense of delicacy, a surprising civility, even what he calls Socratic wisdom, despite Queequeg's, savage appearance and his pagan practices.
Like his devotion to that little wooden idol, Yojo, or that strange ritual of sacrificing a biscuit. Things Ishmael just doesn't understand at first.
But the details are so rich. Ishmael starts marveling at this man he was so afraid of. Soon they're sharing a pipe. Queequeg insists on dividing his money equally. He even offers Ishmael half of his worldly goods, including an embalmed head as a gift, which is memorable.
Definitely memorable. And there's that wonderfully funny yet symbolic line about Queequeg's hug being in a matrimonial sort of style.
Right, and the image of the tomahawk sleeping by the savage's side as if it were a hatchet-faced baby.
Yeah.
It's this forced intimacy that just shatters Ishmael's assumptions.
Exactly. And by extension, it challenges us, the readers, to question our own biases about who deserves respect, who we can connect with.
This relationship really becomes the emotional anchor for Ishmael's whole journey, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's this early, powerful example of finding unexpected humanity, this profound connection in the most unlikely circumstances. Their bond on the Pequod is something Ishmael clings to, like a beacon of warmth through all the harrowing, isolating experiences to come. He found a brother where he expected, the opposite.
And speaking of the Pequod, once Ishmael actually gets aboard, he realizes this ship is filled with an absolutely motley crew. The source calls them a barbaric, heathenish, and motley set of whalemen from all over the place.
Drawn from every corner of the globe, yeah. When they first burst into the bar in Nantucket, he describes it like an eruption of bears from Labrador. Just raw energy.
The physical descriptions are incredible, too. So vivid, giving you a real sense of their ruggedness and their diverse origins.
Melville even details how you could tell how long each man had been ashore just by the color of his skin, culminating in Queequeg's complexion, which he says was barred with various tints, seemed like the Andes' western slope, to show forth in one array contrasting climates, zone by zone.
That's an amazing image.
Isn't it? And then we meet the key officers, the mates, each one a distinct personality, representing different facets of the whaleman's spirit.
First up is Starbuck, the chief mate, from Nantucket. He's described as a long, earnest man. And his thinness is a condensation of the man. Like every bit of him is focused, efficient.
Right, very purposeful.
Known for his hearty sobriety and fortitude, but beneath that stoic surface, he's deeply prone to superstition and these poignant memories of his young Cape wife and child back home. He becomes the moral compass, really.
Yeah, constantly wrestling with duty versus conscience, trying to maintain some kind of Christian propriety on this increasingly mad voyage.
Then you have Stubb, the second mate from Cape Cod, almost the polar opposite of Starbuck.
Totally. Happy-go-lucky seems almost unburdened by fear or worry. He faces the most extreme dangers with an indifferent air, handles his lance coolly and offhandedly, even humming tunes while doing it.
He sees the jaws of death as an easy chair. It's almost unnerving how carefree he is.
It makes him charismatic, but also kind of terrifyingly reckless, doesn't it?
Definitely. And finally, Flask, the third mate, nicknamed Little King Post because he's so short.
Right. Almost comically short.
And he's just laser focused on the profit. He sees whales primarily as hogsheads of sperm ahead, purely transactional.
These introductions just paint such a vivid picture of the human mix aboard the Pequod. You see these wildly different personalities, motivations, moral frameworks, all converging on this one fated ship.
You can already feel the potential for conflict, can't you? How these guys might react under extreme pressure.
Oh yeah, the fault lines are already there.
And even before they properly set sail, there's this chilling, almost supernatural encounter that really sets the mood. Ishmael and Queequeg meet Elijah, a mysterious, maybe crazy old sailor.
Yeah, who delivers these ominous warnings about Captain Ahab and the Pequod.
His way of talking is described as ambiguous, half-hinting, half-revealing, shrouded sort of talk. It immediately creates this deep sense of unease, of foreboding.
Ishmael tries to brush him off, right? Or calls him a humbug, like a con man or something. Right.
Yeah, but he can't quite shake it. He's unsettled, especially as Elijah keeps popping up, dogging their steps, asking these direct, probing questions about signing onto the Pequod with Ahab. He mentions old shipmates of Ahab's who, well, ain't never seen him since.
Chillin' stuff. He warns them about things that happened on Ahab's last voyage. Sailors who never come back.
It's classic foreshadowing, isn't it? Like this unavoidable premonition hanging in the air.
Definitely. Elijah's warnings about Ahab's character, hinting at darkness, maybe madness. It starts sketching the tragic path of the voyage before it even really begins. It's like a Greek chorus whispering doom.
Letting you, the listener, know this is no ordinary whaling trip. This is something else.
Exactly. Something heading towards an inevitable and probably terrible destiny. The air around the Pequod just suddenly feels charged with danger.
And that ominous foreshadowing brings us right to the Werthen. The enigma of Ahab, obsession and prophecy, Captain Ahab himself. Well, Ishmael doesn't even see him until the ship is well out at sea. He's just this presence shrouded in mystery and dark rumors.
And that missing leg. It's not just a physical injury. It's presented as central, the defining thing about him, a constant visible symbol of his trauma and, as we learn, his burning rage.
Peleg, one of the ship's Quaker owners, he tries to downplay Ahab's reputation early on, doesn't he?
Yeah, he calls him moody, sometimes desperate, moody, and savage, but he blames it on the sharp shooting pains in his bleeding sump, tries to rationalize it.
He even dismisses the naming of Ahab by his crazy widowed mother as just a foolish whim, but then, almost in the same breath, he mentions the old squaw Tistig's prophecy that the name Ahab would prove prophetic.
Right, referencing the wicked biblical king Ahab. So even Peleg, trying to reassure Ishmael, plants these little seeds of doubt, these hints of doom.
It's fascinating how Peleg insists Ahab still has his humanities despite this dark side. But Ahab's reclusiveness, staying hidden in his cabin for days, is directly linked later to that direful mishap with Moby Dick.
It builds the tension beautifully. This slow, deliberate reveal of his torment and the source of his singular driving focus. When he finally appears on deck, it's a moment of a huge dramatic weight.
Which leads us, of course, directly to the nature of Moby Dick. Because he's not just any whale. How is he described?
He's presented as something more, a creature of unexampled, intelligent malignity. That's the key phrase. Distinguished by his vivid aspect, his unique look, and his treacherous retreats. He seems to possess this cunning, this conscious evil that elevates him way beyond just an animal.
It's more than just his size, his unwanted magnitude, or that distinctive deformed lower jaw from past fights. It's this idea of conscious malevolence that's truly terrifying.
Exactly. And the source grounds this in reality, or at least purported reality, citing historical accounts from real ships, like the Essex.
Oh, the Essex, yeah. That's a chilling story in itself.
Absolutely. And the Union and Commodore Jay's vessel. These are used to highlight Moby Dick's destructive power and his seemingly deliberate attacks. He wouldn't just flee. The stories say he would suddenly turn and stave their boats to splinters or drive them back in terror to their ship.
Like he was fighting back strategically.
Precisely. And that image of the Milky Way wake of creamy foam he leaves behind, it makes him seem almost mythical, a spectral presence.
So he becomes the primary antagonist, but more than just an animal, an entity perceived as genuinely evil,
Right.
a force of nature with a will.
Right. The chase transforms. It's no longer just a hunt for oil or bone. It's a vendetta, a confrontation with something profoundly, inexplicably hostile.
And this brings us to one of the most profound and frankly unsettling sections in the whole book, the whiteness of the whale. It's incredible how Melville takes white, a color we usually link with purity, innocence, divine light, and turns it into a symbol of absolute terror.
Especially when applied to Moby Dick.
Yes. It becomes this representation of the heartless voids and immensities of the universe.
It's a truly crucial philosophical deep dive, maybe the deepest in the book. The text basically asks us, why does whiteness hold such power over the soul? Why is it often a symbol of spiritual things, yet when attached to the whale, it becomes the intensifying agent in things the most appalling to mankind?
He gives examples, doesn't he?
He does. Think of the white bear of the poles, the white shark of the tropics. Melville argues they are transcendent horrors because they are white. The core idea seems to be that whiteness is not so much a color as the visible absence of color, and at the same time the concrete of all colors.
So it's the blankness, the lack of color that's the source of the terror, like staring into a void.
Exactly. A terrifying emptiness. He uses these chilling examples. The marble pallor of the dead, ghosts appearing in a milk-white fog. Even death, the king of terror, is riding a pallid horse. It accumulates this sense of dread around the color itself.
But he goes even deeper, right? Into the nature of light itself.
He does. He brings up the natural philosopher's theory, the science of the day, suggesting that all the colors we see on Earth are just subtle deceits, illusions, and that the true nature of light forever remains white or colorless.
Wow. So if that's true...
And the entire palsied universe lies before us, a leper. Everything is reduced to this terrifying, monumental, white shroud. It elevates the whole story way beyond adventure. It forces you to ponder these deep symbolic meanings, the profound fear inherent in the unknown, the ultimate void, maybe even the terrifying lack of inherent meaning that whiteness can represent.
That's why the albino whale is such a potent symbol. It's not just a physical threat, it's existential.
Precisely. It embodies both.
And all of this intense buildup, the mystery, the philosophy, it all culminates in Ahab's oath and the forged harpoon. This is the moment, isn't it? The chilling pivot where Ahab finally reveals his true monomaniacal purpose to the entire crew.
Yes, to hunt Moby Dick down to the death.
And he doesn't just announce it, he cements it with this terrifying, almost pagan ritual, dragging everyone on the Pequod into his personal vendetta.
That terrific, loud animal sob from Ahab just reveals the raw, uncontained depths of his trauma, his obsession. He's not just angry, he's utterly consumed by it.
And he's manipulative, too. He appeals to their bravery, their greed offering that gold doubloon as a reward, and twists their economic mission, hunting for oil, into his singular, dark, personal quest for revenge.
You can feel Starbuck recoiling, can't you? The moral compass, his internal conflict, his fear of Ahab, it just becomes palpable right there on the deck.
The ritual itself is just bone-chilling. Ahab filling the harpoon sockets with fiery water's grog and making the harpooners drink from them and swear the oath. Death to Moby Dick, God hunt us all if we do not hunt Moby Dick to his death.
It's an unholy pact. And then, the most disturbing part. He tempers the harpoon's barbs not in seawater, but in the blood of the pagan harpooneers, Tachago, Queequeg, and Daegu.
A blood ritual. On a ship named after a Native American tribe, no less. It mixes everything. Christian prayers, pagan rites, savage intensity.
And the blacksmith, Perth, his role in forging this specific weapon. It takes these mundane tools of the trade and transforms them into instruments for this supernatural, terrifying quest. It underscores the gravity of this shared dark destiny they've all just sworn themselves to.
The Pequod isn't just a whaling ship anymore after that moment.
No, it's a vessel of vengeance sealed by blood and booze.
Okay, so with Ahab's obsession now fully unleashed and binding the crew, the narrative shifts gears somewhat, diving into a back to Fei, the science and brutality of whaling. Which is fascinating because despite all the deep philosophy we've just talked about, Melville doesn't shy away from the practical, often really gruesome details of the industry.
Not at all. He provides this incredibly detailed, almost pseudoscientific whale classification and anatomy.
It's quite something. He meticulously distinguishes between different whale types. You've got the right whales, the mysticidus, valued for their baleen,
The whalebone.
and then the sperm whales, the physeter, prized for that valuable spermaceti oil we talked about. He even includes smaller ones, duodecimos, like porpoises.
And the detail is amazing. He notes how a plump porpoise can yield 1 good gallon of good oil, and how this fine and delicate fluid extracted from his jaws is super valuable to jewelers and watchmakers for lubricating tiny mechanisms.
It's incredible detail. But what's really fascinating is how he uses these biological facts sometimes to hint at something more, something symbolic or even supernatural.
Exactly. It's not just a science lesson.
I was amazed by the anatomical bits, like the Cretan labyrinth of vermicelli-like vessels that lets sperm whales hold their breath for like over an hour. It gives you this sense of their incredible, almost alien physiology.
Right. They're just built differently.
But the part that really stuck with me was the description of the sperm whale's brain. It's tiny, a mere handful, hidden way back, 20 feet from his apparent forehead.
Yeah, that's a striking detail.
And the text suggests that the whale, like all things that are mighty, wears a false brow to the common world. What do you make of that?
I think it's brilliant. It grounds the story in these biological facts, but then elevates it. It hints that maybe true power or real intelligence or the deepest truths aren't always obvious. They're not always where you expect to find them.
Hidden deep inside.
Right. Obscured by this majestic or intimidating exterior, it makes the creature, especially Moby Dick, even more mysterious, more unknowable. It contrasts sharply with the brutal, practical reality of hunting it down.
From the whale's anatomy, we move to the whaleman's daily grind, the whaleman's masthead, and the elusive spout. That solitary, crucial role of the lookout.
Yeah, the entire ship's fortune rests on the vigilance of that one person perched way up high.
Melville gives it this historical context too, doesn't he? From ancient Egyptians using pyramids for astronomy to figures like Saint Stylites, that hermit who lived on a pillar.
Right, seeking spiritual elevation through isolation. On a whale ship, you're standing 100 feet above the silent decks, feeling lost in the infinite series of the sea, just scanning for the slightest sign.
It must have been incredibly isolating, exposed to everything.
Totally. And he even details the crow's nest, that little shelter invented by Captain Sleet, complete with small conveniences and even a hidden case bottle for a quick nip.
Huh. A very human detail. Shows how people adapt even in extreme conditions.
Exactly. Finding little comforts.
And then there's the whole art of identifying the spouts. It's not just seeing a spout, it's knowing which whale it belongs to.
Right. The right whale, the baleen whale, has those straight perpendicular twin jets, which he compares poetically to cleft drooping boughs of a willow.
Such a beautiful image.
Isn't it? But the sperm whale, Moby Dick's species, has that distinctive single forward slanting spout, like a thick curled bush of white mist. He even compares it to the 1,000 cheerful chimneys of some dense metropolis.
And he leaves it wonderfully ambiguous whether a spout is actually water or just air and vapor. He says you might almost stand in it and yet be undecided as to what it is precisely.
It captures both the mundane reality, the long hours of watching, and the mystical element of the sea. It emphasizes the constant, grueling vigilance the patience required and the unique perspective from high above the ocean. It's a real testament to the skill, the honed knowledge of the whaleman. The whole ship's fate hangs on spotting that single elusive puff.
And once a whale is sighted, that's when the real danger kicks in. The hunt and the kill. From line to flurry. This part is described as just intense, perilous, and utterly visceral. The ship transforms.
From a stately vessel into this frenzied, bloody battleground, yeah. The image of the monkey rope is so powerful, it literally ties the harpooner, like Queequeg, to his holder, Ishmael.
A physical tether to danger.
Absolutely. Emphasizing their interconnected fate, the shared risk. And the text has that famous line, "All men live enveloped in whale lines. All are born with halters round their necks."
That's such a profound, chilling metaphor.
It really is. It highlights the constant perils, not just of whaling, but of life itself. It implies we're all caught, in some way, by forces that can drag us down. Even using 2 harpoons, doubling of the chances, points to the high stakes, the slim margins for error in this deadly dance.
And the kill itself. Melville describes it with such brutal, almost surgical precision. Stubb, remember, the happy-go-lucky one, lancing the whale coolly and offhandedly?
Yeah, amidst the chaos.
Then the immediate red tide of blood staining the ocean for acres, the jet after jet of white smoke from the whale's blowhole as it breathes out blood and air, and then the final, terrifying climax, the frenzied twilight of its death flurry.
Where the dying whale thrashes violently, smashing boats, drowning men. It's chaos.
That common whaleman saying a dead whale or a stoveboat, it really drives home the life or death states of every single hunt. You can almost hear the shouts, feel the spray, smell the blood when you read it.
And after the hunt, after the kill, comes the next stage. The arduous industrial process of processing the whale. Cutting in, and the try works. The ship transforms again.
From a hunting vessel into, what does he call it, a ghastly shamble.
Yeah. And the sailors, who were hunters just moments before, now become butchers.
This section is incredibly descriptive, almost horrifyingly so. They use these enormous cutting tackles to strip the blubber off the carcass, precisely as an orange is sometimes stripped by spiralizing it.
Which is such a strangely mundane, almost domestic analogy for such a monstrous task.
Right. This thick layer of blubber, 8, 10, 15 inches thick. They call it the whale's blanket or the skin of the skin. And then there's the grim funeral of the carcass itself, headless, peeled, which flashes like a marble sepulcher as it sinks, just to be torn apart by sharks and birds.
It's the ultimate reduction, this magnificent creature turned into, well, raw materials.
And then the try works, where they render the blubber into oil. Melville uses truly hellish imagery here.
Oh, absolutely. A red hell.
Mm-hmm.
Funereal pyres, emitting a wild Hindu odor and smelling like the left wing of the Day of Judgment. It's apocalyptic.
And the paradox. The whale supplies his own fuel and burns by his own body.
It's incredibly striking. The heat, the smoke, the flickering light at night, working around the clock. The effect on the crew is profound, too. Their tawny features, begrimed with smoke and sweat, their uncivilized laughter furked upwards, like the flames. They seem almost demonic in that light.
But there's that surprising moment of grace mentioned too, isn't there? When they're squeezing the spermaceti from the whale's head, they feel divinely free from all ill will.
Yeah, this strange moment of purity amidst all the grime and gore. It's a powerful illustration of how these raw, practical aspects of whaling transform the Leviathan into a commodity, but also the complex, contradictory psychological impact this whole process has on the crew. It's not just a job. It's this immersive, transformative, often dehumanizing experience.
Okay, shifting gears a bit from the sheer brutality, we move into V-life at sea, rituals, dangers, and human nature. And one of the most unique aspects of whaling culture described here, something different from other maritime trades, is the gam.
Right, that sociable meeting between whaling ships out in the middle of nowhere.
It's presented as a real contrast to other vessels. The text praises the godly, honest, unostentatious, hospitable, sociable, free and easy whaler.
Yeah, comparing them favorably to merchant ships that apparently just mutually cut each other or ignore each other, or men of war with all their silly bowings and rigid protocols.
Even slave ships that just run away, and pirates who only want to know how many skulls. It really emphasizes the shared experience of the whalers.
That shared peril, the profound isolation of their work. They're all in the same incredibly dangerous business, so they develop this custom of sharing news, stories, maybe letters, and just basic companionship when they meet.
We get a few examples of these gams. First, there's the Bachelor, a Nantucket ship, totally jubilant because she's just wedged in her last cask of oil.
She's full. Successful, heading home rich, celebrating with long streamers of narrow red bunting, a brazen lamp nailed to her mast, just radiating success.
A really stark, almost painful contrast to the Pequod's dark, obsessive mission, right?
Absolutely. A vision of what whaling could be: profitable, successful, joyful.
Then there's the encounter with the Rosebud, a French ship.
Right, with fancy carvings. But the captain is a cologne manufacturer, a perfumer. He knows nothing about whaling.
And he's stuck with a blasted whale. One that died on its own and is now rotting, causing fever among his crew.
And Stubb, ever the opportunist, tries to wheedle some ambergris, that rare, valuable substance sometimes found in diseased whales, out of the oblivious French captain. It's darkly funny.
It highlights the cultural differences, but also the grim realities and the scavenging nature of the business sometimes.
But the most significant gam, definitely for Ahab's story, is the encounter with the Rachel.
Ah, yes. That one's heartbreaking.
Her captain desperately pleads with Ahab for help. He's lost a boat, and his own young son is on it. He begs Ahab to help him search.
But Ahab refuses. Coldly. ruthlessly. His chase for Moby Dick overrides everything, even the rescue of a child.
These encounters powerfully show the social side of whaling, but more importantly, they track Ahab's descent. His increasing isolation, his singular focus, crushing all human connection, all empathy. He's cutting himself off, sealing his own fate and the fate of his crew.
And that narrative thread, that sense of grim fate and human cruelty, is echoed in the Townhoe's story. This is that gripping story within a story, told like a legend among sailors.
Right, a tale of mutiny, vengeance, and another fateful encounter with Moby Dick. It serves as this powerful cautionary tale.
It centers on that brutal conflict between Steelkilt, this audacious mariner from the Great Lakes region. Melville calls it the landlocked heart of our America, like an inland ocean, and Radney, the cruel, vengeful mate from Nantucket.
It's a real clash of wills, fueled by Radney's tyranny. And this is where Melville introduces that fascinating legal principle, fast fish and loose fish.
Explain that again.
Basically, possession is the whole of the law when it comes to whales. A whale is fast fish if it's physically connected to a ship by a harpoon line, say, or clearly marked. If not, it's loose fish and fair game for anyone.
Okay, a practical rule for competitive industry.
But Melville immediately expands it way beyond whaling. He uses it as this sharp tool to critique broader societal injustices. He argues that the sinews and souls of Russian serfs and Republican slaves are effectively treated as fast fish, their lives owned and claimed.
Wow.
He applies it to the rapacious landlord, taking the widow's last mite. It becomes this metaphor for how the powerful simply claim what they desire, regardless of morality. It really exposes the arbitrary, often brutal nature of power, whether on the ocean or on land, how justice often just means whoever has the strength to enforce their will.
In the story itself, the crew's silent rebellion, their pact not to sing out for whales, is such a powerful act of defiance against Radney.
It is. And then Radney's horrible end, getting entangled and killed by Moby Dick after one of the crew breaks the pact and instinctively shouts when seeing the white whale during the mutiny. It feels almost like divine intervention.
Like Moby Dick himself is executing judgment.
Exactly. In this legend, Moby Dick acts as this agent of cosmic justice, settling a score even in a common sailor's feud. It adds another chilling layer of supernatural possibility to the white whale's reputation. Are these just coincidences, or is there some force at work?
Amidst all this high drama, grand symbolism, and brutality, we also meet these quieter figures, the carpenter and the blacksmith. They seem to represent a more grounded, practical reality, a counterpoint to Ahab's madness.
They do, but they also have their own unique philosophies shaped by their work and experiences.
The carpenter is such a strange character, almost unsettling. He's described as indifferent and without respect in all. He sees men themselves he lightly held for capstans, just tools, cogs in the machine.
Pure pragmatism. His impersonal stolidity, his heartlessness, but mixed with this grizzled wittiness and a practical disdain for anything he sees as trivial, like cobbling jobs.
Ew.
Melville says his brain, if he had ever had one, must have early oozed along into the muscles of his fingers. He just does.
Yet, ironically, it's this incredibly practical man who ends up making Queequeg's coffin and then philosophizing in his own crude way about turning it into a life buoy, an immortality preserver.
The ultimate practical adaptation. Then there's Perth, the blacksmith, a very different figure. He's a man broken by life on land, ruined by the bottle conjurer alcoholism.
Right, he came to sea to escape his past.
And he finds a kind of stoic endurance in his work at the forge. His patient hammering is presented almost as if toil were life itself. It suggests a kind of dignity, maybe even redemption, found in sheer hard labor, even after profound loss.
But he's also the one who has to temper Ahab's special harpoon in human blood.
Exactly. That symbolic act elevates his mundane work into something terrifyingly sacred. It makes him, however passively, complicit in Ahab's unholy quest. He becomes an instrument of that madness, too.
So these characters, the carpenter and Perth, they represent the essential practical reality of keeping the ship running. They're the gears and levers.
They provide a crucial foil to Ahab's abstract obsession. But even in their groundedness, they offer their own philosophies, often born from hardship, disillusionment, the grim necessities of their world. Without them, Ahab's grand, mad designs would just fall apart.
And all these elements, the obsession, the crew's varied states, the practicalities, the symbolism, they all converge as we head into 6. The inexorable chase, confronting Moby Dick and fate. It feels like even the natural world starts to rebel against Ahab's mission, like in the typhoon and the inverted compass.
Oh, definitely. A truly violent typhoon hits the ship, rips the sails to shreds, leaves it bare-poled, completely at the mercy of the storm. And even more ominously, during the chaos, the compass needles just spin wildly, round and round.
Losing all sense of direction.
Exactly. Symbolizing this total loss of natural order, a direct challenge to human navigation, to reason itself. Starbuck sees this, sees Ahab's continued defiance, and he pleads with him. God is against the old man. Forbear. 'Tis an ill voyage. He sees it as a divine warning.
But Ahab, he doesn't listen, does he?
Not a chance. He uses his fiery dart, that burning harpoon, the St. Elmo's fire clinging to it, making it glow supernaturally, to actually quell a half-mutinous cry from the terrified crew. He uses fear and this almost demonic power to maintain control.
And the compass, what does he do about the inverted needles?
This is maybe the most chilling part. He doesn't see the exactly inverted needles as chaos or a problem. He interprets it as a new truth, a sign for his path. He deliberately changes the ship's course based on this reversed reading.
Utter madness.
Utter madness. It plunges them even deeper into defiance against nature, against common sense. It confirms his complete submission to his own obsession. He's navigating by madness now, not by stars or magnetism.
Amidst this escalating tension, this sense of impending doom, we get that profoundly symbolic event, Queequeg's coffin and the lifebuoy. Queequeg gets deathly ill.
Yes, close to death from a fever. And his acceptance is remarkable. It's deeply philosophical, serene. He asks for a coffin to be made shaped like a dark canoe from his homeland customs.
He has this beautiful vision of the afterlife, doesn't he? Believing the stars are isles and that his mild, uncontinented seas interflow with the blue heavens. Just total peace with it.
It's incredibly moving. Ahab, seeing the coffin being made for his loyal harpooner, can only cry out, "Oh, devilish cantalization of the gods." It's this cry of anguish, recognizing human vulnerability, maybe the bitter irony that the symbol of death might soon be needed.
And the carpenter, true to form,
complains about the undignified task when, after Queequeg miraculously recovers, the coffin is repurposed. It becomes the ship's new lifebuoy, replacing one lost earlier. An immortality preserver, as he calls it.
And Ishmael connects this to that strange, phantom-like feeling he had earlier, waking with Queequeg's arm around him. It foreshadows this uncanny link between life and death.
Right. And the superstitious Manxman interprets the loss of the original lifebuoy as the fulfillment of an evil already presaged. So this coffin lifebuoy takes on immense symbolic weight.
Death becoming a source of potential salvation. Hope literally crafted from an instrument of burial.
It deepens that theme of intertwined fates, the mysteries of existence. Life from death, hope from despair, woven into the very fabric of the ship.
As the Pequod sails relentlessly closer to its final confrontation, the chase intensifies. Those meetings with other ships and Ahab's ruthlessness become even more stark and revealing.
They really punctuate his descent. We already mentioned the Bachelor, that symbol of joyful success, a sharp contrast.
But the Rachel encounter, later in the chase, is the one that truly seals it, showing the depth of Ahab's monomania.
Absolutely. The captain of the Rachel begs Ahab, pleads with him to help search for his lost boat. His son is on that boat. His pleas are raw, desperate. "For God's sake, I beg, I conjure. You must, oh, you must, and you shall do this thing."
You feel his anguish. Even Stubb feels it for a moment.
Yes, Stubb has that flicker of empathy. Oh, it's his son he's lost. I take back the coat and watch what says Ahab. We must save that boy. For a second, basic human decency seems possible.
But Ahab...
Cold, absolute refusal. His hunt for Moby Dick overrides everything. Even the life of a child, even the basic code of the sea. His domineering gaze silences his crew, forces their doubts and any potential rebellion to hide beneath their souls.
He's completely isolated them now, on this destructive course.
It highlights the terrible moral cost of his obsession. He's sacrificing not just his own humanity, but potentially everyone else's, for his revenge. He is utterly lost.
And this relentless quest, this unholy mission, it's mirrored in that symbolic object nailed to the mast, the doubloon and its interpretations, that Ecuadorian gold coin, the prize for sighting Moby Dick.
It becomes this focal point, doesn't it? A kind of Rorschach test for the crew. Each character projects their own worldview, their own fate, onto it.
Stubb, ever the pragmatist, just sees it as money to be spent, sees the whole zodiac on it as the life of man in one round chapter, something to be read quickly and moved on from.
But others see much more. Queequeg, with his quiet dignity, dismisses its importance, seeing it as just an old button off some king's trousers. He doesn't buy into the obsession it represents.
Fedallah, though, Ahab's mysterious Parsi harpooner.
The fire worshipper. He bows to the sun depicted on the coin, linking it to his own beliefs and maybe reinforcing the fiery, almost diabolical nature of Ahab's quest.
And then there's Pip, the cabin boy. His interpretation is heartbreaking.
Yeah, in his madness, Pip offers this crazy, witty reading. He sees the doubloon as the ship's navel, the center of everything, and warns that if it were unscrewed, they'd all be doomed. He connects it to desperation, saying, when ox nailed to the mast, it's a sign that things grow desperate.
It's such a rich segment, exploring fate, free will, how we all interpret the world through our own lens. That single coin reflects the whole diverse and increasingly doomed microcosm of the Pequod.
And speaking of Pip, his story is just so tragic. Pip's madness and Ahab's connection really shows the profound psychological damage this voyage inflicts.
He goes mad after being abandoned in the sea during a whale chase, doesn't he? Left floating alone in that immense indifference.
Exactly. A horrifying trauma that just shatters his mind. His half-horrible, unearthly idiot face, his fragmented, crazy, witty mutterings, they reveal the devastating toll of that terror and isolation.
But what's really surprising, and maybe one of the only moments we see Ahab's buried humanity, is his reaction to Pip.
Yes, it's unexpected. Ahab, usually so locked in his own world, recognizes something in Pip's madness. Maybe a reflection of his own profound isolation, his own suffering.
He declares, Ahab's cabin shall be Pip's home henceforth while Ahab lives. Thou touchest my inmost center, boy. Thou art tied to me by cords woven of my heartstrings.
It's this rare, poignant glimpse of the humanities Peleg mentioned way back, a crack in that armor of vengeance. It shows this moment of shared vulnerability, a connection forged in the face of the ocean's overwhelming terror. Perhaps Ahab sees in Pip an echo of his own lost self or lost family?
It's a complex moment. It reminds you that even this figure, consumed by obsession, isn't entirely monolithic. There's still something human, however deeply buried.
And so all these threads, the madness, the despair, the symbolism, the fractured humanity, they all pull taut as we reach the final days. The whiteness and Starbuck's despair. The chase reaches its fever pitch.
Moby Dick appears again, and the description is almost beautiful, isn't it, despite the terror?
It is. He's described not just as a monster, but with a gentle joyousness, a mighty mildness of repose and swiftness, a glorified white whale who has bejuggled and destroyed so many before. He moves with this serene, almost divine malice, a terrifying calm before the final storm.
And Starbuck, he's reached his breaking point.
Completely engulfed in lurid woe.
Yeah.
He sees his position clearly. His miserable office to obey, rebelling. He feels trapped, tied to him, tows me with a cable I have no knife to cut. He knows it's madness, knows it's wrong, but feels utterly powerless to stop Ahab.
His soul feels overmanned and by a madman? His internal struggle is just agonizing. I misdoubt me that I disobey my God in obeying him.
That line captures his torment perfectly, and his final desperate plea to Ahab, right before the final chase begins, is just heart-wrenching. God, but for one single instant, show thyself. In Jesus' name, no more of this. That's worse than devil's madness.
The last cry for reason, for salvation, knowing it's utterly futile.
And then in the devastating climax, Melville gives us that one last unforgettable symbolic image. As the Pequod sinks, Tashtego, dying, somehow finds the strength to hammer the ship's flag to the broken mast.
And the hawk.
Yes. A skyhawk gets tangled in the flag, drawn perhaps by its fluttering, and becomes folded in the flag of Ahab, pulled down into the vortex with the sinking ship. It symbolizes everything. Yeah. The irreversible commitment to Ahab's destructive quest, the tragic intertwining of human ambition and indifferent nature, the final defiant act of self-destruction, pulling even the heavens down with it.
We have navigated just an incredible world here, a world of obsession, deep brotherhood, brutal practicality, and just profoundly unsettling symbolism in this deep dive into Moby Dick. We've seen how one man's quest for revenge can consume a soul, warp an entire crew, and really redefine the universe around them.
It really forces us to grapple with some big, uncomfortable questions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what does it even mean that something as basic as defining a whale or understanding the color white can become so complex, so loaded with interpretation?
Yeah.
Maybe the lesson is similar to Ishmael learning from Pequod, or all those different men reading the doubloon in their own way. Perhaps the deepest insights don't come from finding simple, neat answers. Maybe they come from embracing the glorious and sometimes terrifying ambiguities of the world, and indeed of ourselves.
So, as you, our listener, reflect on this journey through Melville's turbulent seas, we'll leave you with this thought. What great white whale, what obsession, what fear, what unresolved quest might you be unknowingly chasing or perhaps allowing to chase you through the uncharted waters of your own life?